Hello and welcome to the 2021 Vision Awards. I'm your host, Jarrett Hill, joining you live from Los Angeles. Tonight we'll be meeting people from all over the country that have been a part of the Stonewall Community Foundation's work over the last year. We'll honor some of the extraordinary folks who are making an impact, maybe a surprise or two, and even a couple of fantastic musical performances. For those of you that are new to Vision and the organization, Stonewall Community Foundation is a New York City-based LGBTQ community foundation, a by us for us funder that strengthens the LGBTQ community and the movement by investing in the people on the front lines of LGBTQ equality, justice, and liberation. Stonewall has embraced its role in public philanthropy, raising and moving over $21 million through grants, micro grants, and scholarships since its founding in 1990, like a decade before I was born. Relationships are the foundation of Stonewall's work, and throughout the night, we'll meet some of the incredible leaders who proudly partner with Stonewall. This is not only a chance to experience the Stonewall community, but also a chance to better understand Stonewall's values as an organization. Kicking off tonight is going to be someone connected to two of Stonewall grantee organizations, that is Black Trans Media and the Sylvia Rivera Law Project. Welcome, Sasha Alexander.
My name is Sasha Alexander. I work at the Sylvia Rivera Law Project. I am the director of membership and I co-direct our movement building team. Working for a trans-led organization in a climate like the one we're navigating right now is difficult in a lot of ways. I also have a lot of gratitude. Part of why I do this movement work or have done this movement work over any time has been because there was always a need. And for folks like myself who are trans people of color, there's often not a lot of employment opportunities, or there doesn't feel like there are a lot of employment opportunities, certainly not ones in which you can feel like you can be yourself, have your name or your pronoun or your gender identity or expression respected. And so getting to work at a trans-led collective in a time when there are tons of anti-trans legislation sweeping the country, and connecting the way the law is a tool and can be a tool for our communities to fight for ourselves, but can also be a tool of oppression that the state uses against us is very powerful for me as a Black, Asian, trans person who's navigated my own criminalization. So I consider it very sacred, powerful work I get to do, and I feel a lot of gratitude to be able to provide the supports I do to our communities and to be part of building the futures that we're building. Some of the priorities right now are continuing to do anti-oppression work, as well as work around transformative justice, conflict, restoration, healing justice. And we also have almost 200 members who are currently incarcerated across New York State and across this country. And one of our priorities is always making sure that our folks behind the wall are not forgotten. Trans and gender nonconforming people are everywhere, and our issues intersect with all of the issues that we're fighting for. And when trans and gender nonconforming people are part of movements, our movements flourish because they are stronger and they are more reflective of the communities that we are part of. And when we fight for collective liberation, we're not just fighting for TGNC folks, we're fighting for everyone. You know, what happens when we get to participate politically is we also get to go from being a community that is isolated or harmed or has a lot of judgment, a lot of lack of access, to getting to more fully participate in our lives and to have our voices and our leadership and our experiences valued. It's meant so much to everyone at the Sylvia Rivera Law Project to get support and funding from Stonewall. And I think it's also in y'all's namesake to do very radical, important work for our communities. And it means we get to keep the doors open. Even though a lot of folks close their doors, and we did do a lot of remote work, we provided a lot of services this year, including mini grants for laptops to help pay people's Wi-Fi bills, phone bills, so they could get connected to the Zoom meetings we've had every week, grants for self-determination and survival to help people with food access. All of those things require time and energy and resources, and we wouldn't be able to do that incredible work that we do without support from folks like y'all at Stonewall. So, I mean, SRLP has a pretty unique relationship to a lot of our funders because SRLP is a pretty unique organization, not only because we are a non-hierarchical collective, but because of our values and the way we practice our values. And I will say Stonewall, not to pick favorites, but Stonewall is definitely up there as one of our favorite funders who is very responsive to what our communities need, is very understanding and also reflective also of the communities we serve in your own leadership, and has always been like a great comrade in movement. There have been political moments where I've most certainly seen Stonewall understand that we're going through something and communicate with us in a way that is definitely always with care and compassion and just relationship building, and beyond just a grant, like understanding that we're in community, that we're in a long, sustained fight for liberation, that, you know, racial justice and gender justice, they're not like 1 year issues or 2 or 3 or 5 year issues, that, you know, these are really long-term things we're fighting for. Shout out to y'all for all the love and resourcing our movements and our people.
Hi, I'm LJ, and I lead marketing for the Dockers brand. I'm really excited to speak to all of you this evening. Dockers is honored to be a presenting sponsor at this year's Vision Awards. This is our 4th year in partnership with Stonewall Community Foundation, and we're so proud to support a partner that works tirelessly in strengthening and uplifting the LGBTQ+ community. As a brand with a platform, it's a priority for us to promote equality, inclusivity, and justice from an intersectional lens. And while we'll continue to support and celebrate Pride through our product, and I hope many of you got a chance to experience our 2021 collection this evening, we also know how important it is to support our philanthropic partners to help maximize their impact. The way in which we work and partner with Stonewall Community Foundation has certainly evolved over the years. It's expanded and today feels so much more like a true collaboration, which is beautiful and helps Dockers move so much further beyond what we've done in the past. And I think one of the most exciting examples of that type of collaboration is their participation in our Recognize series this year. Dockers kicked off Recognize, which is an extension of Black History Month that recognizes Black culture in progress by sharing inspiring stories from various community leaders, contributors, and influencers who are making a difference through their distinct perspectives, their style, and their commitment to finding purpose in their passions. It's less of a campaign and more of a monthly, year-long celebration. And we are delighted to have Stonewall's very own Maurice Pierce as part of this series. Her content actually just went live yesterday, and it is truly one of the best features to date. I cannot wait for you to watch her story and to be inspired by her authenticity, her confidence, and all of the joy that her story has to offer. So I thank you to Stonewall for your partnership, your collaboration, your guidance. I thank Miss Maurice for your courage and your grace and sharing your story. And so without further ado, let's roll tape.
I am a queer Black woman, native New Yorker, and someone who's always wanted to make change on a large scale, especially for people and communities that are marginalized. My name is Maurice Pierce. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the program manager at Stonewall Community Foundation. I've been reflecting on the fact that, I came out when I was 15, so this would have been like 2003. And in terms of representation, there was nothing. There was nowhere where I saw Black queer women doing anything in the world. And so it's in some ways like remarkable that at 15 I was like, this is what I am. I think I was also just raised to be my own person, to be curious and to be confident and to question things. So being told that's not ladylike, my response would be, well, if I'm a lady and I'm doing that, then it must be ladylike. I am just living proof that a woman can have hair that is a men's cut or wear a shirt that is for men, that we don't have to be locked into binaries. When it comes to dismantling the binary, it's about trusting people to know who they are, to know what they need, and then giving them access to the things that everyone needs and deserves, like safety, dignity, respect, healthcare. Our job at Stonewall is to listen to people who are closest to the issues and help them get to the solutions. To me, recognition is about visibility. All I can do is live as authentically as I can.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maurice, and I am the program manager at Stonewall Community Foundation, a New York City-born foundation that works by and for the LGBTQ community. At Stonewall, we know that impact begins with the individual. Before we fund organizations, we have relationships with leaders to understand what the daily lived experience of LGBTQ people looks like. This year, I've been fortunate to have conversations with dozens of leaders of queer and trans organizations around the country to learn what their work looks like, what challenges they're facing, and what their dreams are. From there, we can provide them with the resources they need, whether that's funding or connections to other organizations or amplifying their work. We are not just meeting needs at Stonewall, we're supporting leadership and building queer power. Over the last year, Stonewall Community Foundation has funded over 200 organizations that cover every facet of queer life. From Washington, D.C. to rural Washington State, from Brooklyn to the bayous of Louisiana, from challenging anti-trans legislation to creating spaces by and for Black and brown trans people, from providing homeless queer youth with haircuts and clothing to providing meals and microgrants. We support the organizations that make queer community possible. Stonewall also provides direct support to individuals. Last year, for the first time, we put money directly into the hands of LGBTQ people who are impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Our microgrant program gave checks of $500 each to hundreds of LGBTQ New Yorkers, prioritizing sex workers, homeless youth, trans and non-binary people, and people of color. We trust that people know what they need. It's our job to help them get it. And new funds, like the Stay Gold Fund, which provides financial support for gender-affirming surgeries, continue our work of helping the most vulnerable members of our community be safe and stable. We're also excited about upcoming new grant programs, including a fund we're launching in partnership with General Motors to support trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming youth in STEM, and the Black Futures Fund, seeded by Dockers, which will support Black innovation and joy. The individuals and organizations that we support enrich our lives with queer art, secure our rights through policy and advocacy, and keep us safe through community organizing. The support that we give to them comes back to all of us tenfold. That's why I'm so proud to work at Stonewall, because we know that the binary of benefactor and beneficiary is false, and that fueling queer leaders and organizations moves all of us forward.
Every person that comes into our community, when they leave, they know it's okay being exactly who they are. Everywhere you go, you belong in that space.
My journey with Urban Decay started in my early 20s when I was still trying to figure out who I was. Makeup has allowed me to freely express myself and feel confident within my own skin. Urban Decay has made me feel safe to fully embrace myself, come out of my shell, and help me become the person I am today.
I'm proud to be working with a brand that supports love and equality. UD is excited to announce that we'll be partnering up with the Stonewall Community Foundation once again.
My story begins actually 11 years ago. I moved to New York by myself as an asylee, and I moved with $500, and the next day I had $300 because I spent the first $200 on a phone and I think just some necessities and probably some portion of rent. I worked a lot of service industry jobs when I first moved here and while I was applying for my asylum. Basically anything from a bookseller to a flower seller to a babysitter. And I started taking classes at Hunter, I think in the third year after I got here. And I was on a path to kind of go on. And then someone said, oh, well, you should apply to Columbia. You are so smart. You'll get in. And I did get in. I actually had no doubts about getting in because I had very good grades, but I had doubts about paying for Columbia. The truth is I did not qualify for any aid, even though I wanted to apply for it. And I really had the need. I just did not meet the requirements. The Levin Goffer Scholarship was the only scholarship that I qualified for. And had I not gotten it, I would not have enrolled in the fall semester. Like I would not have come back for my third semester at Columbia simply because I had $30 in my checking account and a maxed out credit card. And I was working a lot of jobs on the side just to pay the rent in New York. I know it sounds a little dramatic, but the scholarship did change my narrative. It let me graduate. It let me have a full-time job. It let me kind of graduate with a smaller amount of debt. So the way my life has changed since 2014 to now is tremendous. I will be honest, I think it's surreal, and I don't think a lot of people go or like transcend classes the way I have. I work as a software engineer. Unlike when I was a student and I was working and going to school, I sleep at night. And it's actually something that I don't take for granted. I really had very little sleep during those 4 years. So it's a joke, but I'm still catching up on sleep from those 4 years when it was kind of the norm for me to sleep 5 hours a night and sometimes pull all-nighters just to kind of get through school and all the jobs. I do reflect a lot on what position I'm in, and how can I make a difference, knowing what I've been through, knowing how lucky I was to actually have the Levin Goffer Scholarship, and what a critical change it was for me. I will never forget the moment when we were picking, I think, 1 or 2 recipients, and there were so many more applicants. And I think the fact of saying no to those people whose needs I could feel from their essays, whose stories I could tell, because I've been in those shoes myself. I know exactly, I mean, not one for one, but I could very well imagine what they were dealing with. And I think knowing that those people will hear no, it really stuck with me. It stuck me through the rest of my school. It stuck with me through my very first years of work when I began to save money. I could not wait to be in a position to give back. I thought about it ever since, and fortunately now I am in that position. In 2014, I was a scholarship recipient of the Levin Goffer Scholarship. And this year, I'm very lucky to launch a new scholarship with the Stonewall Foundation called the Little Bird Scholarship. I know that there are just so many things that are stacked up against this community. And I think it's crucial that people find ways to disrupt that. People find ways to support those marginalized communities. Knowing how direct this impact could be, having been the recipient of this impact and what it changed and what a difference it can make, I find it so validating and I find it so fulfilling. I've told it to Jarrett and Maurice many times, I'm so grateful that they exist, that they're that outlet that can let me make a difference in a way that I feel most strongly about.
I love her story. It's such an incredible example of being able to transcend your situation. So I'm just so excited to see Anna's story. I want to remind you that we are here to raise money all night for Stonewall to help fund the 250 organizations and growing that rely on their support. If you'd like to participate in all this good giving, you can go to stonewallfoundation.org/vision. That is stonewallfoundation.org/vision. All right, let's keep the show moving. She's a respected leader in philanthropy, and having served at the Ford Foundation and the Rockefeller Foundation, she knows a little bit about how this works. She now directs the Families and Workers Fund, a collaborative dedicated to building an economy that centers equity and uplifts all. This is her 4th year of service as board member at Stonewall, and just this January, she took the helm as board president. Hey, Rachel.
Great to see you.
Hey there.
So that was such a powerful story from Anna. And I have to say, when my wife Alexia and I first heard it, that Anna was already giving back to the scholarship program just years after being a scholar herself. It inspired us to reach deeper in our own giving. And it actually prompted us to create a donor advised fund at Stonewall and ask, like, how can we be the grownups that we all needed as queer youth, but so few of us had? And the other thing I just love about Anna's story is that it disrupts this idea that there's a beneficiary and there's a benefactor. Like, Anna benefited from philanthropy and she is a philanthropist, and that can be all of it, us. That to me is what a community foundation is about. It's philanthropy of and by and for us. But what I'm here to do tonight, I'm so excited about. I have the privilege of recognizing our first honoree, Andy Mera. Andy is the executive director of the Transgender Legal Defense and Education Fund, TILDEF. Andy has long been one of my sheroes. She has had a storied career in the LGBTQ movement, including at GLAAD, GLSEN, and the Arcus Foundation. Today marks 1 week since TILDEF successfully led the charge to pass the Gender Recognition Act in New York, which is the first time that there will ever be a gender-neutral marker on legal identification in this state. And this is a policy that was designed for and by trans, non-binary, and intersex people. And its passage will increase the possibility of safety and dignity for so many. Stonewall and TILDEF are no strangers to each other. The relationship began back in 2010 when TILDEF had a very small budget and just 2 staff. We were an early supporter of the Name Change Project, which still to this day provides free support to low-income trans, gender nonconforming, and non-binary people in updating their names on official legal documents. And we were thrilled to have the opportunity to fund the first dedicated staff with that project. It's amazing today, TILDEF is a multi-million-dollar organization with 17 staff. They are a force to be reckoned with. And that is deeply thanks to Andy's vision and brilliance and equity-first leadership, not only for this organization, but in building a future of safety and liberation for all queer people. So that's why tonight I am honored to present a Vision Award to you, Andy Mera.
Transgender Legal Defense and Education Fund is one of 3 national transgender rights organizations in America.
We've been fighting discrimination and working to achieve equality for transgender people since 2003.
In just a few weeks, we will welcome our new executive director, Andy Mera,
a trusted and respected leader in our movement,
with a 15-year track record of fighting for those who need us most. In this daunting climate, Andy Mera is poised to help us safeguard the gains we have made and achieve far more protections in the years ahead.
You have been in this movement for many years. And as you said, you've been in a variety of roles, GLAAD, GLSEN, the Arcus Foundation, TILDEF. You've run for office. You've served on the board of Freedom for All Americans. How have things in the movement changed for trans people from when you first got involved back when you were in your high school GSA 20 years ago?
Our movement was at a place where trans issues were still somewhat invisible, and the trans community faced a great deal of erasure in talking about how our movement forms the agenda that we all collectively advance. And kind of fast forward to today, and we have a movement that's resoundingly united in the value that we don't leave anyone behind. A lot has happened, and I think because of the fact that our movement has made so many gains, I think that in such a short period of time, I can't wait to see what the next 20 years lie in store for us.
Good evening. I am so grateful and humbled to receive this recognition from the Stonewall Community Foundation, especially alongside such an inspiring and esteemed group of honorees. Stonewall's long-standing commitment to queer and trans-led organizations is remarkable, and I especially want to name the visionary leadership of Stonewall's executive director, Jarrett Lucas. Jarrett, who I consider both a colleague and friend, has been a trailblazer for queer and trans philanthropy that prioritizes the real needs of our community and always with an intersectional lens. As a Korean American trans woman, I live at the intersections of race and gender identity every day. And I've experienced the moments of pain and joy that come with being a trans woman of color in this country. My own lived experiences and those found in my community led me to dedicate my life's work to advancing a bright and lasting future where trans and non-binary people are able to thrive. That's why I immediately said yes when I was approached to apply for the role of executive director at the Transgender Legal Defense and Education Fund. And it was so that I could actively work towards achieving full legal and lived equality for trans and non-binary people nationwide. Since joining TILDEF less than 3 years ago, I am proud to say that our team will have grown from a scrappy 4 to 17 by the end of this year, and our team has already driven significant change. In 2020 alone, TILDEF moved ahead with our federal litigation in states like Georgia and North Carolina to safeguard and advance protections for gender-affirming care in the South. We successfully advocated in states like New Jersey to remove barriers to legally changing names, a crucial and early step in a trans person's transition. We partnered with Aetna to remove trans-related health exclusions from their insurance plans, impacting more than 22 million policyholders. And we were one of the first in our movement to respond to COVID-19 by preparing bilingual resources for trans and non-binary people to address a range of legal questions related to employment, housing, healthcare, identification, and of course, accessing public benefits. And earlier this year, TILDEF met with the Biden administration to ensure equitable vaccine distribution in our community. All of this work wouldn't have been possible if it weren't for supporters like you. So let me take a moment to directly address all of you who are watching tonight. Thank you. Thank you for engaging in solidarity work by mobilizing financial resources for trans and non-binary advocacy. All of you who support Stonewall's cutting-edge philanthropic work means frontline organizations like TILDEF are resourced to ensure our community is well defended from attacks and to build a future grounded in safety, opportunity, and freedom. Your support is critical as trans people remain under attack. And this year alone, more than 30 states saw the introduction of over 100 anti-trans bills focused on either criminalizing gender-affirming care for trans young people, banning trans students from school sports, or both. This is part of a coordinated and resourced effort among the top 5 anti-trans groups, representing $229 million in combined annual support to fuel their insidious agenda. And look, that number alone is enough to give anyone pause. But despite our opponents' sophisticated and well-funded efforts to undermine our progress, TILDEF and our partners in the movement continue to make substantial gains. And it's because we're on the right side of history. I'm confident that with your collective support, we will continue to make enormous strides toward ensuring a more just and equitable world for trans and non-binary people. Congratulations to my fellow honorees who have utilized their talent, creativity, platforms, and passion to advocate for our community. Thank you to everyone here tonight for your belief and commitment to TILDEF's work. And thank you, Stonewall, for this tremendous honor. I remain excited for all that we can accomplish together in the months and years ahead. Happy Pride.
NBC Universal News Group celebrates Pride Month.
We're part of a community
where we will always be accepted and understood.
all our different identities
Make something greater
together.
Pride is universal.
You don't own me. I'm not just one of your many toys. You don't own me. Don't say I can't go with other boys. I don't tell you what to say. So just let me be myself. To say and do whatever I feel.
And Andy Mara called me a trailblazer. A title, though, that I am more comfortable with is Executive Director of Stonewall Community Foundation. Our mission to move money to LGBTQ causes has quietly fueled progress for decades. And so it's an honor to have opportunities like this to amplify that work and invite new voices and points of view into it. At Stonewall, we say that philanthropy is love in action, and we practice that with our supporters every single time we raise money and invest it in an LGBTQ organization, project, or person. We also know that there are gaps in philanthropy, ways that money moves and does not move, that leaves people behind. So while we see and are currently funding nearly 250 nonprofits, our focus is on those that need our love the most. Progressive grassroots groups with bold agendas, and LGBTQ people experiencing the most marginalization. That means the unhoused, the undocumented, the poor, trans folks, Black and Brown communities, our youth and elders, people with disabilities and chronic illness, and people who are targeted by the criminal legal system in this country. That ethos is how we honor our name, but also how we celebrate Pride, every day and every month of the year. Pride itself is a lot of things. It's an emblem of what's possible when people claim their power and prioritize human dignity, the right to exist publicly and be in community over oppression that masquerades as respect for authority. Pride is a counter to the shame that is imposed by a world that doesn't understand that queerness is, in fact, nature and nurturing. Pride is celebration of queer life, culture, identity, innovation, sexuality, desire, and magic. Magic. The Stonewall riots were not the first protest or riot from our community. As early as 1965 in Philadelphia, in front of Independence Hall, and in Washington, D.C., in front of the White House, homophile activists, that's what we were called back then, homophile activists, organized what they called annual reminders. These were social and political demonstrations to be visible and to raise awareness. And in 1966, there were trans-led riots against police harassment at Compton's cafeteria in San Francisco. But in 1969, something special happened. We fought the police. I'm talking shoes, bricks, bottles, batons, and blood. And the we was sex workers, performers, homeless kids, and self-proclaimed proud sissies, butches, transsexuals, and queers. And we were blessed by the divinity of trans folks, the resolve of sex workers, and Black magic and brown brujeria. We were Marcia and Miss Major and Stormy and Sylvia. We inconvenienced, we disrupted. What's the saying that names are the shortest spells? Well, we found our spell, and it was a call for liberation.
one that helped crystallize what would become a global and enduring fight for freedom and justice. In the year after the riots, actions happened on the West Coast and the Midwest. By 1971, protests had spread to Boston, Dallas, Paris, London, West Berlin, and Stockholm, before we had a flag or a universally recognized initialism of LGBTQ+, before the internet, before social media. That is queer magic. Stonewall Community Foundation exists to make sure that the lack of resources does not get in the way of queer magic changing this world for the better. A world where young people don't come out just to get kicked out. A world where if people can't get reparations, they can at least get prioritized. A world where I don't have to be born this way for people and churches and governments to care about my safety. It's a world where I can bend gender or end gender for myself and not be legislated out of hospitals, sports fields, or the DMV. A world where Trans Day of Remembrance is actually a celebration of transcestors, not a tribute to those whom we've lost. We take our name seriously, just as we understand what it means to celebrate and honor pride, because our philanthropy is about legacy, a call for liberation we inherited as a gift, a call that is only growing louder. Tonight, we hope that you hear that call wherever and whoever you are and join us in this work to put love in action and support LGBTQ leaders on the front lines of ushering in the world we deserve. Speaking of merit, it is my honor to present the second award of the night. Maya Angelou said, "There's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you." Well, our next honoree is leading the charge to ease our collective agony one story at a time, but in a prolific career that spans 4 decades that adds up. He has been in all of the things: Selma, If Beale Street Could Talk, Lincoln, The Butler, oh, and a few little shows you might know like Fear the Walking Dead, Euphoria, Twilight Zone, and Lucifer. His role in the Netflix film adaptation of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom earned him an Independent Spirit nomination for Best Supporting Male, as well as an NAACP nomination for Best Supporting Actor. He'll next be seen on the big screen in Candyman, Zola, and The God Committee. Often working with acclaimed Black directors, there's no doubt that his gifts, his extraordinary talent, lend themselves to elevating every single thing that he touches, whether on screen or stage. Tonight, we honor not only his incredible talent, but also his demonstrated commitment to moving the needle on racial justice and LGBTQ liberation. At a time when queer and trans and Black lives and livelihoods are under attack, he consistently speaks up, shows up, and holds so many of us down. This is Colman Domingo.
Should have heard Levy at the club last night, Toledo. Trying to talk to that gal in my hair with her.
You ain't got to tell me. I know how Levy do.
Levy tried to talk to that gal and got his feelings hurt.
God can kiss my ass.
You're blasting my God! That's my God! My God, worthless! Come on,
No, let him go!
Let him go! That's my God! That's my God! It don't mean nothing! My God! It don't mean nothing!
Who the fuck was that?
That's my friend.
Yeah, what's your friend name? You don't know your friend name, no?
I don't remember.
Hey, wait.
He saw us when we... And he said...
Come.
Said that my girl's going to work, which she is doing, and then he said, I saw the car come up. I was like, that's the story, dude.
But the hardest part of having the disease of addiction, aside from having the disease, is that no one in the world sees it as a disease. They see you as selfish. They see you as weak. They see you as cruel. They see you as destructive. They think, why should I give a fuck about her if she doesn't give a fuck about herself or anybody else? That's his whole game. But if we got to where we are without the money, we can get further. I ain't worried about their money. It don't belong to them anyhow. They stole it from us. They ain't never met nobody that they didn't lie to and steal from.
What you got us into, woman? We got 128 miles to come to our senses, gentlemen.
Hush. This here's the place we need to be. This right here is the next great battle.
I can only imagine. Decent looking place to die, though.
I need to forget who I am. But you don't. Please. Whatever happens, don't you ever forget. Oh.
Thank you so very much. Thank you for this award, for this tremendous honor. I was thinking about this, to how there are some significant achievements that happened in 1969. And one is the fact that Sesame Street began in 1969. The other is the Stonewall riots in June of 1969. And the other happens to be my birth in 1969. So I feel that I'm in alignment with all of those things. So I stand on the shoulders of phenomenal people, humans, artists, people who will smash a window to make some change, people who will strive to educate, to bring more love, bring more joy into the world. And this honor is tremendous, and I feel very grateful to be such a representative of the LGBTQIA community. So thank you. Also thank you to my friend Michael Romali for even, I think, putting my name forward for this honor. I appreciate you. We're longtime friends. And I look forward to hugging on you, kissing on you. Of course, here I am at work as usual with my makeup ladies, Frida and Cassie here, about to do some zombie slaying for Fear the Walking Dead. I thank you so much. I can't wait to see you and hug you in person.
Leading an API organization right now is sort of surreal. Part of that is it's been a tragic time in terms of the spike in reported incidents of anti-Asian violence. This comes on the heels of a great deal of mobilization in API communities last year, both around the pandemic and also around the elections and the census to make sure that we're counted. From my perspective, in terms of the LGBTQ movement or movements, one of the things I feel that the pandemic has shown us on a interpersonal level, but also on a global level, is how interconnected we are. This was the first truly shared experience for so many people around the world. And for the LGBTQ movement, I hope one of the things that we take away from it is that the interconnectivity between communities, between peoples, and between the work that various communities have been doing. So, for example, if we are talking about immigration, yes, for Encapia, immigration is a huge issue. API folks are 7% of the American population. We are 33% of LGBTQ immigrants. So clearly that's a specific priority for LGBTQ API communities. But we also understand that we are living in shared communities, and the same reasons why immigrants are attacked, why we want to limit immigration, is part and parcel of other systems that other communities are trying to dismantle. We, in API organizations and API spaces, have been having these conversations, have been raising these red flags and these alarms for a very long time. I'm very excited, particularly coming from the perspective of someone who calls multiple LGBTQ spaces, API spaces, Black and Brown spaces, Caribbean spaces, home, that we can have this intersectional agenda going forward where we truly understand that each of us and each of our communities experience systems of oppression and inequities in different ways, but those are the same systems that we need to dismantle. The funding from Stonewall was an amazing surprise. As a new executive director stepping into a role, funding, of course, is one of your major concerns. Guaranteeing your stream of funding, speaking to funders. So to open an email and have that investment, both in Incapia and what we are going to do going forward, but also in my leadership was lovely. It was appreciated, but it was also very, very special to me. Those nods are very important, that folks are co-signing what will hopefully become a transformative vision that you have. So it was nice to receive funding that says, well, we've got you. Stonewall recognizes and sees the LGBTQ API community and our needs. API communities are not well funded in philanthropy. They're actually terribly funded when you look at the numbers. And LGBTQ API communities seemingly are not funded at all. The funding level is negligible. It is about $1 million per year that is dedicated to LGBTQ API causes. And Incapia is a recipient of a good amount of that funding because we are one of the few LGBTQ API organizations in the country that has managed to sustain itself and hire staff to do that work, which is also why Incapia's work with our federation members is so essential to our mission. Stonewall is investing general operating support in Incapia. The difference between general operating support and, of course, project support is that it allows a nonprofit like Incapia to use funding where it is most effective and to increase our level of accountability to all of our stakeholders. I think this is a moment where, very specifically coming out of this pandemic, we can see where we intersect and why working together and having a common cause will be so instrumental to our shared journey towards liberation and freedom.
Wasted time. You know I want you. It's getting rough. I don't tell you what to say. I don't tell you what to do. So just let me be myself.
Welcome back to Vision. Jarrett and Jarrett, I'm the original Jarrett. That's the other Jarrett. Before we get into our little chat, I want to just note that we have already raised $185,000, which pretty awesome, right? I want to give a couple of shout outs to James David, who was our first gift of the night. Really appreciate that. And Anthony Deligante, which is another one of our donors tonight. Jarrett, how you feeling? I know it's a stressful time getting ready for Vision. How do you feel?
It's always worth it. It's always worth it. I sort of feel like, the moments when I'm not in the program and I'm watching the program, like I'm watching the Super Bowl, but there's no problematic NFL and all of the queer commercials are like feel good queer shit. I love it. I love it.
Well, nice. I think this is a great time for us to bring in someone that's new to the organization. Do you want to tell us who's coming in?
Yeah, so we could wax positive all night about how great we think this is, but it's always nice to have the perspective of someone who is new to this particular organization's cause. And so I want to bring in a special guest. He is an artist and an actor who played Justin Foley and then hit Netflix series 13 Reasons Why. Welcome to Brandon Flynn.
Brandon!
Hey boys, how's it going?
Hey, man.
How are you?
Very good, very good. Welcome to Vision. I know this is your first Vision. You're new to Stonewall Community Foundation. You're watching along with us. Tell us what it's like, what you're seeing, what you're feeling.
I mean, it's amazing to be listening to how people have benefited from from Stonewall's activism, from Stonewall's support. It's amazing to see who you guys are honoring as visionaries. I feel really inspired and lucky to be hearing from queer people about queer people for queer people, and two, seeing these Queer Orbits commercials.
Well, you mentioned activism and getting to know a little bit about you. I guess the thing I'd love to know is, how has your activism evolved over time from, when it began for you to where it is now?
I think back when it began, I like to talk about it beginning when I was 14 and coming out of the closet. However it all happened, that's a story for another time. But I had to immediately show a lot of people in my life and negotiate with a lot of people in my life how to love me, whilst also trying to figure out if I love this part of me. And so slowly, I think that snowballed into what it is now, which is figuring out how to be an ally in other spaces, figuring out how my queerness marries to those spaces and can allow me to be someone who uses my platform and uses my I want to find the right word. There's also a bunch of stuff coming in right now, but who also uses my life experience in learning to love myself and giving that as a gift to those who need it still.
Yeah, I was going to say that I know one of the conversations we had was about finding a political home. Because what activism looks like and feels like and is for each of us is so different. I've been at Stonewall now for 11 years. It happened so fast. And one of the things that is truly special is that this is a political home that's unique because we are a community foundation. I used to think of it sort of like a buffet where we sit on this nexus of literally hundreds of organizations, and we have access to the brilliance and leadership and inspiration of so many people across the country who have collective centuries in this work, eons probably. And I've come to realize it's actually not a buffet, right? Because like every time I leave a buffet, there's nothing but regret. It's more like a tasting menu. It's this beautiful parade of possibilities, but it's not overwhelming. There is care and art and passion and disciplined wisdom in how our work and our priorities and the relationships that we cultivate are curated. And it's just super satisfying and leaves you yearning to do more. And so I'm hearing your story about wanting to leverage your life experience and that journey of self-love. And I go, we probably got a place for you to do that right here. And it's wonderful to have you as a part of the Stonewall family newly.
It's so nice to be introduced into it in this way on this night and to feel like I have a space here. Thanks for saying that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brandon, we really appreciate you being a part of Vision and popping in and hanging out with us. We are looking forward to the ways that we can work together with you and be a political home for you. And so thanks a lot for being here tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Jarrett.
Appreciate it. Don't call us the Jarretts because people are going to start doing that. That'll be a thing.
Okay. It's only me. I can only say it.
Okay, fine. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Brandon. We'll see you next time. Want to also, Jarrett, I'm saying that I've gotten a note here that we just passed $190,000 in donations. So we are doing very, very well, and I'm excited to see that. So, are you you're feeling a little bit more settled now? Because like we're raising money, we've got great programming already. We've got a performance coming up in a few minutes. I'm always really impressed because I talk to you all the time, probably too much. And I feel like I always hear stories about like the things that you're all doing, but It's kind of exciting to get to kind of see the faces, see the names that are attached to all of the things that you all are doing, and because I think you can see the impact a little bit more. Can you talk a little bit about what the impact of Stonewall has been that you've been able to see in the world, and how people can contribute to that?
Yeah, so much impact. Every day there's a story. We heard from Anna Rosenthal earlier, who went from a scholar or scholarship recipient to a fund partner, creating her own scholarship in just 5 years. For me, that is probably one of my favorite stories of more than a decade's time. And it's because of what Maurice and I think Rachel as well shared, that so much of our mission is about erasing the line or blurring the line between benefactor and beneficiary. We've been told this lie, many of us, that because of our identities, experience, background, we have one place in the world. You either can be the generous them or the needy us, right? Or that flips. And Stonewall's work is about erasing that. And so stories like Anna's really inspire me. And I see that all the time, like when we provide micro grants to people, these really strategic financial interventions. Sometimes it's about education, but sometimes it's about getting a work uniform for the first job that will have you and your gender expression and your gender identity and your truth. Sometimes it is getting a security deposit, help with a security deposit for the first opportunity you have to have stable housing because you've been disowned by your family, your community, your social support systems. There's just so much incredible work that I get to see from this vantage point. And I don't want to understate the importance of the fight we're in. Andy Mera was talking about how well funded the opposition is, close to $250 million leverage just in the past few years against transgender, nonconforming, and non-binary folks. The reality is our side of the movement needs to step up, right? A lot of people will say the revolution will not be funded. And look, that absolutely may be the case. However, movements absolutely need money. And so it's beautiful to be at Stonewall and see how money in the right hands can really be alchemy, right? People can take money and change lives and change the world.
One of the things you mentioned are micro grants, and I don't think people really know what micro grants are. And as we're here at the Vision Awards, like asking people to donate, to contribute, to be able to help out people's lives, can you talk about how micro grants work and help for individuals when we're thinking about the ways that we give?
Yeah. Listen, we can take $50 gift and help somebody get gender affirming identification. That opens pathways like getting a bank account, accessing employment, accessing higher education, being able to travel freely, and all of the experiences and possibility and potential that come with that. We make grants as small as $25. Yes, we can write a check for $140K, but our sweet spot really is with small grassroots organizations that are incredibly industrious, really strategic with the way that they use money, and know how to make a difference with whatever they have. And so micro grants is one way that we get to put our ear to the ground, as it were, and understand how tens of dollars or hundreds of dollars in some cases could change the course of someone's life. And then we get to scale those lessons up and incorporate them into our macro grant programs when we're supporting organizations and various projects across the country.
I love that. Well, as you all are watching, if you're just joining us, obviously this is the Vision Awards, and we're really excited to be raising money tonight. Already we've raised $190,000, which is kind of crazy. If you are someone who would like to participate, go to stonewallfoundation.org/vision for more information and to be able to donate. I need to eat. I guess it's time. Jarrett, we'll see you a little bit later. Thank you. Right now, I'm not going to lie, this is probably the thing I'm most excited about tonight. I'm a big fan of Victor Jackson, and Victor is about to give us a wonderful performance, and then we'll get to talk to him on the other side. So here's Victor.
Yeah. My blackness is divine. My queerness is divine. And I deserve a love that sets the world on fire. Yeah. Kiss me like they do in a movie. Hold my hand, walk me through the park. Hold me close, baby, say you love me. You love me. Promise me we'll never be apart. I want that Hollywood love, that Hollywood love. Dinner there some sunset, take me shopping on Rodeo Drive. I want that Hollywood love, that Hollywood love. Too good to control, but too real to be alive. Lights, camera, action. I learned all of my life. Just want you in my life. Lights, camera, action. Be my director, baby. I'll be a leading lady. My performance will be unforgettable. You did everything before you met me. Yeah, yeah. Leave it all on the cutting room floor, yeah. All them other dudes don't even matter. Oh no, I just want you to give me more. Give me more, I want that Hollywood love, that Hollywood love. Then I did some sun, then be shopping on Rodeo Drive. I want that Hollywood love, that Hollywood love. Too good to be true, but too real to be alive. Camera, hey, 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 yeah. I learned my lines just a will, baby. Light, camera, hey, yeah. Now, ooh, be my director, baby. I'll be your leading lady. My performance will be Denzel, devil in a blue dress. Greta Garbo when she took away fresh breath. The bread up when she walked away. Got you looking bad like you wanna stay. Breaking all the records, I was smashing. Janet, Tupac, Thug Passion. You, me, co-stars, good casting. Moonlight, blue movie, magic. Tell me what you want, tell me what you need. Yeah, all your deep desires, all your fantasies. Yeah, ever seen yourself on the silver screen? Staring through the lens, looking back at me. Cut, reset, baby, take it from the top. Let me see the passion, baby, give it all you got. All these other lovers wishing they were where you are, but they ain't got the range, baby, you a superstar. Memorize your lines, dig deep, find your character. This ain't role play, boy, I leave that to the amateurs. Hair makeup ready, looking good, I ain't mad at you. Red carpet fresh, picture perfect, taking temperature. $1 million smile, knight in shining armor. You my superhero every time I'm calling on you. This is the love I've been missing, don't need no more auditions. Riding up in the distance, roll the credits, we finished. Thank you.
So I've never heard like an acoustic version of that song, and damn, I'm so excited that we get to spend just a couple of minutes here with Victor Jackson. He's a singer, songwriter, choreographer, creative director, and host, new co-host on PBS's Say It Loud. Please welcome Victor Jackson into the conversation. Victor, first of all, you totally played me because I did not know you were doing like this acoustic vibe. That was so beautiful. Oh my God.
When we were talking like earlier today, I was like, I'm not gonna tell him anything. I'm just gonna.
Oh, so you knew this was stunting. You knew this was a stunt. Okay.
You know, because actually that's the first time that I've ever performed lights, camera, action. And it's a song that I wrote back in 2014. So even while we were like shooting it, I was just, Douglas Watley, who was on keys, he was somebody who was sitting with me when I was writing it years ago. And so he was like, it's just so crazy to see like where this record is now, like here at the Vision Awards.
I am so excited that you're able to be a part of this with us this evening. Your new EP, your EP that came out just a little bit ago, is called Man, Muse, Magic. I'm super excited for you to be here. I love this album. Can you tell people just a little bit about your music and how they can find out more about what you're doing?
Yeah, I am an R&B and soul artist, an independent artist based here in Atlanta, Georgia. As Jarrett mentioned, I am the co-host of season 2 of Say It Loud on PBS. I'm actually on set now shooting another episode. You can check that out on our YouTube channel, Say It Loud PBS, and you can follow me everywhere at Mr. Glam Rock Soul.
I just got to say, I've mentioned you on my podcast, Fanti, before. Y'all, Victor Jackson is an icon in the making. I know you might have just heard of him recently, but like an icon in the making. Victor Jackson, thank you so much. We'll be seeing you a little bit later. Thank you so much. Make sure to check out Man Muse Magic is available on all platforms. Go check it out. It's really, really fantastic.
Thank you so much.
All right. Of course. All right. Up next is one of the most distinct, recognizable, beautiful music voices in music today. She's raised global consciousness with her beautiful song Rise Up. She's been an impressive, crucial, and pronounced voice for justice, from her healing and empowering work for Black mothers to her performances of Mississippi Goddamn and Stand Up for Something, not to mention her collaboration with 2014 Stonewall Vision Award honoree Lee Daniels on the biopic of bisexual icon Billie Holiday. Like Holiday, Andra's art and words speak out loudly and explicitly against racism, sexism, and homophobia. Tonight, we applaud her commitment, her vision, her heart, her boldness. Tonight, Stonewall Community Foundation's Vision Awards proudly honors her for her work. This is Andra Day.
Peace and blessings, family. Thank you so much to the Stonewall Community Foundation. First, for all the amazing work you do, for your holistic and nuanced approach to serving all of the representing communities within the greater community. And second, for this incredible honor. When I think of the Vision Award, it feels really special to me because I believe that truth, representation, and visibility are the catalyst for social change and I believe the bedrock of a healthy society. And that to me is a society in which all people from all corners of life, as they are not just seen, but also celebrated and valued. So thank you so much for this award. Peace and blessings. Bless you all. Thank you.
So we're actually going to be doing something really cool here, because this year at Vision, we're excited about something new that we're doing. All over the country, there are watch parties happening, and to make them a little bit more interesting, many of our sponsors have brought out some of their like really cool goodies. Jarrett is back here with me because, you know, one of the perks of being host or executive director is you get some of the cool stuff too. And we wanted to see what these boxes had, and as a cool way to be able to say thank you to our sponsors. Before we do that, though, I do want to shout out the amazing team at Stonewall, all of the fantastic folks that make this event happen. I opened up the box just now and I saw like a beautiful note from your team, and I wanted to say I really appreciate that. So to everyone that works at Stonewall, you guys have grown over the last couple of years, and it's been really cool to see that. Jarrett, you want to take a moment and just say thank you to the folks at Stonewall? Or don't, because you might be like a tyrant of a leader, maybe, I don't know. You're muted. You're muted. The two words that we hate in the age of Zoom and StreamYard and all of the different things is you're muted.
It's fine, because I was saying some emotionally ratchet things. Also, now you know This isn't pre-recorded, baby. I was saying no, that I put the O in boss, but I am actually a person who on most days treats that like a 4-letter word. I feel like a collaborator and partner with my team, and every day lucky and fortunate and grateful to work with incredible folks. People met Maurice earlier in the program, but there are lots of other folks behind the scenes that don't get as much visibility. Michael, Gatlin, Lauren, the staff, and then we have an incredible board of directors, 21 whole people who dedicate so much time and energy and love to this cause and this organization, and supporting me and the work of the incredible organizations that we fund.
All right, so let's see what's in these boxes, because I've literally not gone through any of this stuff because I wanted to do it here. The first thing I see is like a cool little thing here. What is this?
Okay, so this is a whole bounty, let me just say. This is from Urban Decay, our friends at Urban Decay. They put a lot of goodies in here. I feel like a YouTuber hawking shit. They put their Naked palette, which is Naked 3 palette, which is really, really incredible. Lots of great eyeshadow colors. They have some other goodies in here.
The long-lasting makeup setting spray. This is like.
This is All Night. This is where we cue Beyonce's. What song is that? Where she's singing All Night? But yeah, this is gonna spray on and help your look stay put for, I think it's up to 16 hours or something extraordinary, and I'm sure rooted in sorcery. They put some stuff in here, lips and brows.
Yeah, this is amazing. So shout out to the folks at Urban Decay, and even the bag is like really cute. Okay, we've got a Dockers bag here that looks like it's chock full of stuff, right?
Oh yeah, the Dockers bag. You've heard. They're a big partner of ours. We're so excited to collaborate with them. They do lots of product donations, actually to grantee partner organizations of ours, and so it's great that they were able to contribute to the watch party boxes. So they have pieces from their Pride collection that has benefited Stonewall. Really great tank. T-shirt. I think you saw LJ wearing this earlier. And I have all this stuff Rocket. Earlier I was wearing, where is it? Oh, here we go, right on my lap. So these shorts, like j'adore. And part of it is because it's not on the shorts, but I think it's on the shirt. A lot of this capsule has 1986 on it, and that was the year in which yours truly was born. And so I wear it like it was made for me, because it was.
I love how everyone is shouting out their birth years. I love Colman talking about also being born in 1969.
Yeah.
Shout out to our friends at MSNBC and NBC Universal, one of our great partners.
Can I talk about Tango Teaser for a second here? You see this?
What is that? Let me see. Yes, I have that.
Tango Teaser. Okay. So no matter what length hair you have, if you got the curls, if you got short, straight hair, or whatever the situation is, this is miraculous. I tried it earlier when I showered. Sometimes it can be a lot to tame this. Like I'm gonna be transparent with you.
It's a lot of hair. It's a lot of hair.
Yeah. And she can be unruly, but the Tangle Teaser is really great. No breakage. Put some conditioner up in there, slides right through, gets my stuff together. Perfectly coiffed.
Okay. Speaking of hair, what is Manic Panic? Is this hair color?
It's like the most famous hair color situation ever. So yeah, all of the bags got these really exciting and wonderfully named colors, and a lot of them are semi-permanent hair color creams that are really easy to apply, very often without bleaching, which is wonderful. What color are you thinking?
Well, mine is hot. It says hot pink, 2 hots. I've been thinking about dyeing my hair just because I'm kind of bored and want to do something different with it.
I've been bored too. Yeah. That's fine. Keep going. We're rolling.
Okay. Talk to me about what is this? This is like nail color?
Yeah. So Nails Ink also supported the bags here. And so we got some fun color. My vision for the watch parties is that after this event is over, everyone's going to be like, let's break open the food and paint each other's nails. Can we talk about the food?
We can talk about the food. Let's do it.
Okay, so big shout out to Jess.
Before we move to the food, before we move to the food, we do have this really cool tote from the folks at Ralph Lauren as well.
So Ralph Lauren, yes. Ralph Lauren is another really wonderful partner of Stonewall's. They sent these super cute rainbow pony totes that will certainly go in my tote collection for my grocery store visits.
Last thing in that box is also from Orbitz. Oh, they gave us a mask.
Yeah.
Cool. Sweet. Okay, thanks to the folks from Orbitz. You want to talk about the food because we always want to talk about the food. Shout out to the folks from Jasper Hill Farm, which is a creamery, which means this is all about to be dairy, and you know I'm going off cheese.
Well, look, you have to wait till that box is empty because they have really great accoutrement, right? Like they sent some almond crisps and raw honey. Like it's a party tonight after this. Really. No, truly. Like I have one of those special fridges where I can't fit hardly most of this stuff. Too bright. We can't see.
My light is too bright.
Just a little glow to it.
Right.
So I do want to rewind and just offer up some appreciation for our sponsors in a more serious way. In our e-journal, which I hope you all take a moment to look through, the section where we list our sponsors and all of the people involved in making this event possible, and people and companies that contribute to our work year round are listed. And we actually named that section of the e-journal the Vision Village, borrowing from the famous Hillary Clinton proverb, I think it is, that it takes a village. No, I know that's a joke. It's a joke, I promise. But I want to shout out to our presenting sponsor, Dockers. We have had a really long love affair with the Levi Strauss & Co. family, and Dockers is just in so much of what we're doing these days and about it. So I have to shout them out. And you'll also see that Levi's is on the list. We also love Urban Decay, which I mentioned before. Wendy, Janice, Steve, Tony, Tammy, all the people there. These are relationships. Thank you so much for your support. Orbitz, they're a new Pride partner at Stonewall, but they've come through in really big and meaningful ways this year. Also want to lift up Bloomberg Philanthropies, which for the Vision Awards is actually our most consistent sponsor in the past 7 years. Every year they come through, every single year. Kirkland and Ellis, they are new to the Stonewall family. Welcome. NBCU Academy, our friends at NBC News, MSNBC, CNBC, and Noticias Telemundo. And also our friends at the Rockefeller Foundation. So grateful for you. And then lastly, because while they didn't do it for the recognition, they're getting it. Our patron sponsors, Neil and Danny, Edmundo, Jimmy, New York Women's Foundation, Manic Panic, Daniel Index, and Trinity Church Wall Street. Thank you. And our partner sponsors for this event, Amita Care, Derek, Fried Frank, Jasper Hill Farm, like we mentioned, Michael and John, and Chris Villarreal. Thank you so much. And then a special thanks to our creative partner, Dear Future, and our longtime event producing team, CMJ.
Awesome. All right, Jarrett, I know you have to go get ready for some more stuff.
Okay.
I want to remind all of you that tonight we are here raising money for Stonewall Community Foundation to help fund the more than 250 organizations that rely on the support of Stonewall. If you'd like to participate in all this giving tonight, go to stonewallfoundation.org/vision, and that will give you the perfect ways that you can donate, that you can be a part of all the things that we're doing here. Special thanks to all of our sponsors who have been a part of making tonight such a special, fantastic evening. Now, to present the next award of the night, Jarrett is actually going to come back and welcome our next honoree. Jarrett, what are you doing? What's happening here? You're muted again, so that's great. Go ahead.
I said this is literally the most natural thing that I could be doing right now.
That's actually true.
I'm with my plants, and that will make sense in probably 75 seconds. So over the course of the pandemic, I, like many people, went from about 15 plants that I took very good care of to over 90. I actually started my very first Instagram profile. I call it my Only Plants account. And there you can see all of my babies documented. Really, it's the joy for me. It is just so wonderful to bring green into our lives. And the very first account I followed on Instagram was this next honoree. I want to say in setting this award up that social media is now unparalleled in its power and reach. And in our opinion at Stonewall, few use it so beautifully to the end of cultivating community like this next honoree. They have found purpose in doing so in real and virtual green spaces, and that makes it all the more magical. We celebrate keepers at Stonewall Community Foundation. That's people who preserve undeniably healing and fundamentally human traditions, whether those are generational legacies that are passed down from grandmothers or ancient ancestral knowledge of the natural world, which includes the sacredness of all things Black, femme, queer, and green. Tonight, we honor them for the ways that they nurture their own being and the world, inspire and model self-care and joy, and embody a light in which we all have the chance to grow into better versions of ourselves. Yesterday on their Instagram, they said that they want to leave their world a little Black, queer, non-binary femme and make a mark and maybe green some things up while they're at it. Well, they have done exactly that. This is Christopher Griffin, AKA Plant Queen.
Darling, are you looking to chlorophyll up your life? Are you looking to start a little indoor jungle of your own? Well, girl, I got you. This is In the Know Plant Week, and we are going to get to some delicious, amazing, lush green girls for your little indoor garden, okay?
Darling, I'm going to share with you my top 3 beginner plants. Are you ready? Here we go.
My next guest is true royalty in the gardening world with a wildly successful Instagram to prove it. Let's say hello to Christopher Griffin, AKA the Plant Queen.
Meet Christopher Griffin, one of New York's very own, known to Instagram as the Plant Queen, a non-binary femme activist whose love for plants is rooted in visits to the nursery with his grandmother when he was just 5 years old. Now living with over 185 plants in his Brooklyn apartment, he's showing the world the importance not just of plants, but the importance of nurturing love, self-care, and acceptance too.
I got my first plant about 5 years ago. And now I have over 185 plants in my Brooklyn, New York apartment.
Brooklyn.
And I'm telling you, darling, they are the best quarantine buddies. And I think that the reason that, Plant Queen has really taken off in the ways that it has is because folks are spending more time indoors and they want to, green up their spaces. So I'm just sharing my joy and everything that I'm learning through Instagram. Hello, hello, hello. It is such an honor to be here tonight. Such a pleasure. I'm absolutely thankful to be one of the honorees for the Stonewall Community Foundation 2021 Vision Awards, darling. Especially amongst the amazing, fabulous, and fierce group of folks that are also being honored today and being honored for all the magic, light, love, and joy that they bring into this world. So it's an absolute honor to be here today and to be a part of this fabulous event. I would be remiss if I did not bring my ancestors into the space. And so I'm bringing my grandmother into the space. She was the original green goddess in my life, and I would not be here if it wasn't for her. She nurtured the young, little, aspiring Black, queer, non-binary femme queen that you see here before you today. She shined light on pathways that I did not even know existed for myself. And so I want to bring her into this space and thank her for everything that she did for me and the groundwork and the foundation that she provided for me to grow my root and grow, darling. So I am not used to accepting awards or being an honoree because a lot of this work is just the work that I love and enjoy. I'm a storyteller. I enjoy telling my story. And if my story can be an inspiration, if my story can bring a little humor into your life, if my story can shine light on a pathway that you may not know exists for you, then I've done my job. And so I think it's important that we see storytelling and simply just existing unapologetically as an act of resistance, existing unapologetically as a revolutionary, existing unapologetically as a protest to all the various things that oppress LGBTQ plus folks, especially Black and brown, queer and trans folks. And so I just want to say thank you. Thank you for this wonderful honor. And I am excited to be a part of this. Thank you, thank you.
My name's Chris Hayashi, and I'm the executive director at the Transgender Law Center. We are the largest national trans-led organization in the country. Our work is grounded in legal expertise with a commitment to racial justice. And we move a range of community-driven strategies, which ultimately are about keeping trans and gender nonconforming people alive, thriving, and fighting for our liberation in our communities, from impact litigation to policy advocacy, to movement building, leadership development, public education, and storytelling. And what anchors me in the work is that I know that trans communities and movements deserve so much more. And I know that we have the brilliance, that we have the knowledge, and we have the strategies to ultimately address the injustices, to address the ways in which our communities are facing so much violence and hate. And I know that historically and through to this day, our movements and leaders have not gotten the resources and the support that we really need or deserve. Trans leaders and organizations have been overall just neglected by the broader LGBT movement, by funders, by the broader social justice movement. For TLC, we're fortunate. I mean, we're the largest organization in the country, yet we're continually having to figure out how we can get the resources to both sustain our organization and also to move forward the powerful and beautiful strategies that we know trans people deserve. So when TLC received a donation from Stonewall, which we had not applied for, had not asked for, it just means so much. It makes me think about the ways that Stonewall Community Foundation is supporting Black, Indigenous, people of color, trans communities, and knowing that we can also turn to the Stonewall Community Foundation in times of need, when there are issues, when there are injustices that have occurred that were unexpected, which is for trans communities is actually pretty often. We are in a time where we're in a continued global pandemic. We're in a time where there's a continued escalation of violence and hate in the form of the murders of Black people in this country at the hands of the police and state. And for trans people, what we also know is that our communities were already facing intense discrimination, harassment, and violence before this time, and that this all has just gotten so much worse. We are seeing just an escalation in the murders of trans people in this country, the majority of whom are Black, trans women, and femmes. We also have just faced an onslaught of anti-trans legislation in the form of bills which are really about trying to criminalize trans people, try to dehumanize us, and the majority of them are targeting trans and gender nonconforming young people and children, are not ultimately about just trying to keep us from being able to live our lives. This past year, we launched the Trans Agenda for Liberation. It lays out a blueprint for trans movements, for LGBT movements, and for all movements broadly, and was created by a national coalition, the majority of whom are Black, Indigenous, and people of color, the majority of whom are trans women and femmes, and all incredible and powerful local leaders in their communities. So what really anchors me is being at the Transgender Law Center, being at a national organization, being at one of the largest national trans-led organizations, knowing that we can figure out ways to support and flank, particularly the local grassroots trans leaders who are really on the front lines of fighting back against so many of the attacks that our communities are facing, as well as literally just making sure that our communities are alive. I've just been so inspired by the ways that local trans leaders have really done what our communities have always done, right? Making sure that trans people have food, have housing, have access to healthcare, and have ways to break isolation and build community. The ways in which trans leaders across the country, I think of groups like Brave Space Alliance in Chicago, I think of groups like My Sister's House in Tennessee, I think about groups here in the Bay Area, like the Transgender Intersex Justice Project, who have just made sure that trans people would be able to live and to thrive, knowing that if we didn't do it, that it was very likely that no one else would.
I'm young and I love to be young, and I love to be free, to live my life the way that I want, to say and do whatever I please.
Growing up a gay Middle Eastern male, it amazes me that I get to openly and freely express myself through the art of makeup. Pride Month recognizes and celebrates the diversity, individuality, and beauty within the LGBTQIA+ community. Urban Decay has given me a space to express myself while feeling safe to do so, just like the Stonewall Community Foundation has for so many, which is why Urban Decay is proud to be partnering with Stonewall again this year to provide the opportunity for others to feel safe in their own skin and shine as their authentic self.
First things first, want to let y'all know we are really close to reaching our goal tonight, and I'm super excited. We're about $8,000 away, so you still have a couple minutes left to give. We're at about just over $192,000 raised tonight, and we're just about to wrap up. We've got one more honoree. Our next honoree is being celebrated tonight for his unparalleled humor and talent, as well as his steadfast commitment to representation for the LGBTQ community. You may know him from introducing the world to a perfectly imperfect family on Schitt's Creek that perfectly models the love every child deserves and the support all people should have in finding themselves and being themselves. At Stonewall, we know him because he participated in a campaign with Ralph Lauren last year that raised Stonewall nearly $400,000. He uses his platform to advocate for queer acceptance, racial justice, and gender equity, telling stories in a way that makes it easy for the quirky and queer to feel seen, to feel heard, to feel proud. We're proud to have you on our side, Dan, in the fight for LGBTQ equality and freedom. So tonight, Stonewall Community Foundation's Vision Awards proudly honors him for his work. This is Dan Levy.
At what point did you guys realize that we're on to something? This is good.
Congratulations, it's a hit.
You know what I love? Schitt's Creek.
What a thrill this is. What a thrill this is for me, too.
Dan and Eugene Levy are joining me now. 5 solid seasons of Schitt's Creek.
It's a very surreal experience to go like 4 years where people barely know what your show is about.
Finally getting the attention and love and respect it deserves.
It's been insane.
The stories have been told, and it's been a fantastic 5 years, and we have the best season yet ahead.
Warmest wishes to that.
Kindest regards.
You broke hearts this week, like crushed, like I don't know if you felt the shift when you guys made the announcement that you were ending this.
I call you when I need you in my heart.
What is this? Oh, just a gift that once jolted me out of my little podunk routine. You just stand your solid ground, refusing to be anything but you.
Give me everything I need.
I think you're my best friend.
Give me a lifetime of promises and a
I love you.
world of dreams.
I'm in love with you.
Here he is, the love of my life, standing in front of me. And it can't be wrong.
And this just felt like the perfect place to ask you to marry me.
It's a
yes. It's a yes.
You're simply the best.
And that town you passed through,
Better than all the
it's not called Shitsville.
better than
It's called Schitt's Creek. And it's where we live.
And I'm stuck on
As
your
lucky
heart.
as I feel to have met David, I also feel incredibly lucky to be joining your family.
Tear us apart.
The truth is that I'm really gonna miss you.
Each time you leave me,
I'm gonna miss you as well.
walking away with my heart and my soul.
I met someone who changed my life, and I don't know where I'd be without him.
Better than all the
We
rest.
must cherish these moments before everything changes.
Anyone I've ever met. And I'm stuck
My
on your
family and I have been staying in a motel for the past 3 years. And I wouldn't trade our stay there for anything.
Oh, you're the best.
I would just like to say a big thank you to the Stonewall Community Foundation for this recognition. When I set out to make Schitt's Creek, it was paramount that every character on the show be accepted and supported, that bigotry and intolerance never enter the equation, so that we might lead by example, showing the world how prosperous people can be, how much we can grow as a community when we are supported and encouraged for being exactly who we are. I was so grateful to have gotten that opportunity and so moved by the response from members of the community, allies, and even those who had previously held judgment but were challenged to open their eyes and their hearts to their LGBTQIA+ neighbors. I've tried to use the platform I have to help seek out and provide opportunities for other voices that the world needs to hear, other minds, and stories that hopefully will continue to open doors and change conversations well into the future, because paying success forward is crucial. I am humbled to be recognized by this foundation that is doing such fundamental life-saving work to support and incubate growth throughout our entire community in meaningful and long-lasting ways. And I can't thank you all enough for the time, the work, and the dedication, doing everything that you can to provide resources and support to those who need it the most. Happy Pride, and thank you so much again for this honor.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is basically the end. We've got one more thing coming up for you here at the end, but I just want to remind you before we go how much we appreciate you, how much we are honored that you spent this evening with us. And for those of you that shared, we appreciate that donated. We appreciate you sharing your resources with us. If you still are interested in donating, please go to stonewallfoundation.org/vision. We're almost at goal, and every contribution helps. So we really, really appreciate it. We've got one last thing before we go, and I'm excited to bring back our performer, Victor Jackson, here in just a second. I just want to say thank you for having me. This is always a lot of fun for me to participate in. Really honored to be a part of it. And thank you to all of the folks at Stonewall, at CMG that made this happen. Have a great night. And now, one more time, here's Victor Jackson. Good night.
Yeah. No matter where you are in the world, I need you to remember these three things. This month and every month of the year. Listen, you deserve to live, you deserve to love, and you deserve to dance. So come on, dance with me, baby. Yeah. He's going out with his friends, and I could just stay at home waiting. I could test his phone, not a thing, but I don't want to be the one that. So I call my girl. See if they wanna get cute and go out, hit the town, but her heart's my world, and I can't stop thinking about the smile. Ooh, child, I got this feeling, and I can't shake it off whenever it's near me. Yeah, I get these chills all in my bones, but tonight, he belongs to the city. Da 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 da. Verse 2, 2 drinks in, feeling good. stop thinking about how we smell and how we love, how I get whenever I'm around. I check my phone, see if he called me or send me a text. You do, and I missed it. Cause even though I'm at the bar, I'd rather be with him. Oh, no, I got this feeling. Yeah, shake, shake, shake it off whenever he's near me. Yeah, I get these chills all in my bones, but tonight, yeah, he belongs to the city. Dig it one more time, yeah. Dig it one more time, yeah. I got this feeling, and I can't shake, shake, shake it off whenever he's near me. I get these chills all in my bones, but tonight, he belongs to the city. Take me to the bridge right here. Yeah, when I walk in the building, look around the room, everybody's dancing, baby, get into the groove. I feel someone behind me, hands around my waist. Turn myself around, it's looking right in my face. I got this feeling, hey, shake it off whenever he's with me. I get these chills in my bones, but tonight, he belongs to the city. Yes, it does, oh yes, it does. I got it. I can't shake, shake, shake it off whenever he's near me. I get these chills all in my bones. Yeah, but tonight, he belongs to the city. Bring it out to it. I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it too much. I'm not mad. Yeah, I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad. I'm not mad, cause tonight, come on, he belongs to the city.